In our lead story in the news this morning, President Cyril Ramaphosa is expected to visit flood-affected areas in KwaZulu-Natal today, and he'll be accompanied by several cabinet ministers. The number of people who are reported to have lost their lives in Monday's flooding has now risen to 59. 45 people are reported to have died in the eThekwini metro, and another 14 lives have been lost in the Ilembe district. The floods destroyed homes and also caused massive damage to infrastructure. We cross now live to our reporter Ayanda Mhlongo, who is down on the ground for us. Ayanda, covering the KZN floods as far as we can move, and of course the president expected to visit today. Ayanda, good morning. So what are we waking up to in KwaZulu-Natal this morning?
A very good morning to you, Sakina. Good morning to our viewers at home. Well, Sakina, it's still devastation for the people of KwaZulu-Natal, especially the eThekwini municipality, of course, which was hardest hit. As you said, there are 45 people losing their lives just in eThekwini alone, and the devastation and the destruction of infrastructure of people's homes is massive. People this morning continuing to salvage what they can from their house, from their homes, continuing to try and clear up as homes were flooded. It's been a really difficult 24 hours, Sakina, for many people here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. And as I said, especially here in the metro, of course, as you know, that with the damage of infrastructure as well, Sakina, it meant that electricity throughout the day was out in many areas, and still overnight a lot of people did not have electricity and water cuts as well. So it really has been a really difficult 24 hours for the people, particularly of the metro. As you said there this morning, we are coming to you live from the Pinetown Civic Center, where President Cyril Ramaphosa is going to be visiting the province. He's starting off here, where he's going to be briefed by the Premier of the province, Sihle Zikalala, as well as the MEC for Kokta, Sipho Hlomuga, and the Mayor of eThekwini, Mxolisi Kaunda. Last night there was that special cabinet meeting that was called by the Premier to discuss government's response. We know that government has also called upon the South African National Defence Force to also come onto the ground to assist, as still there are areas that are still inaccessible, where people need to be evacuated and removed from those areas as they are not safe. We are told that those evacuations took place, of course, throughout the day yesterday and into the night. In fact, one of the biggest evacuations was in the area of Molweni at a high school there, where over 40 learners and teachers could not get out of that school, requiring emergency helicopters to be deployed to that area in order for them to rescue those learners and the teachers. And speaking of schools, about 140 schools, Sakina, have been damaged by these devastating floods that have hit the province of KwaZulu-Natal. Amongst the officials that are going to be here also to be presenting report to the president is going to be the MEC for Education in the province, Gwazi Mshengu. So we wake up this morning, Sakina. The president, of course, is going to be given a brief, and he's then going to outline what government's response is going to be. The province has the provincial premier has requested that the province be declared a disaster area, so that they are going to be able then to request additional funds from Treasury to be able to respond to the challenges on the ground. In terms of the cost, Sakina, it's still too early to tell. The mayor of eThekwini, in fact, yesterday, Mxolisi Kaunda, said at this point, because they have not even been able to get to certain areas, they still do not know what the extent of the damage is. But looking around from us, Sakina, just yesterday, driving around on the N2 and different parts of the city, it looks like it's going to run into the millions. But of course, we'll then have to wait for the government, once they've been able to access all areas and to assess the state, the extent of the damage, for them to be able to tell how much this is going to cost the government to repair all this damage. So at around 10 o'clock this morning, Sakina, the president is expected to arrive here at the Civic Centre in Pinetown. But we will be speaking hopefully to some of the MECs before they arrive to see what happened overnight, if there has been any update following the last statement that we got from the officials, where, as we said, 14 people were also reported to have died in the Ilembe district. But the rescue operations and search operations were still continuing, and they expected that the death toll could be higher. But we are on the ground, Sakina, throughout the day, and we'll be giving our viewers an update of the situation here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal.
Ayanda, just a quick one, as you paint the picture there for us, there's of course the socio-economic, the psychosocial, just the emotional trauma that people have had to endure. And then there was a story that really caught my attention amongst everything that was going on, and it was some pictures that surfaced on social media of skeletal remains that came from the Ntuzuma cemetery. Do we have any update on that situation in terms of how the authorities have dealt with that?
Yes, indeed, Sakina. We did also receive those reports of that there at Ntuzuma cemetery, where we are told that the floods eroded the tombstones. There no report yet. I suppose a lot was happening yesterday, Sakin, in terms of some areas. The officials did say that they were unable to reach certain areas just because of the extent of the damage and the fact that they were prioritizing areas where there were people that needed to have been removed. And yesterday, the focus for the officials was to ensure that people that were in areas that was deemed as dangerous, that those people were then removed from those areas. But today we are going to definitely get, or should get, a report from the government officials. They were working, disaster management teams were working throughout the night, going to different areas. So we most definitely will be able to get a report today on which other areas did they visit, and in terms of what the situation is in those different areas.
Ayanda, we'll cross back to you as soon as those officials start arriving and you can get a little bit more information by way of updates from them. Ayanda Mhlongo is out in Pinetown for us this morning, where the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, is expected to go to KZN today, just to gain further information from those on the ground, and also forge, some way forward in terms of how to deal with what has happened. So we'll keep you up to speed with those developments throughout the morning.